Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions. People, parents, right, and grandparents, true, included, right, that are now paying attention. They're now, instead of trusting, they're trusting, but they're verifying, right? They're very, very concerned, and they're paying attention to what they need to be paying attention to. So, it's just like anything else. And we've had this conversation before, but if you look hard enough, you'll find positives anywhere, right?
Oh yeah.
Situation,
absolutely.
You'll find positives. You just got to look hard enough, right?
Yep.
So the kids are grown and they're beautiful. You did a great job, by the way. Congratulations. And the grandkids are I'm telling you, they're the prettiest grandkids I've ever seen. They're so cool. And I love the fact that they're just like you, because we need more people just like you in this world.
Aww.
So let's talk a little bit about so a few years ago you had a challenge with your health.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about sort of what led up to that, what sort of symptoms you were having, that kind of thing, because I really feel like that your story needs to get out there because people need to hear you. And let me tell you real quick, the very first interview that we did for this podcast that now is 3 weeks old. I mean, we just hit 150 listens, by the way, today. So we're brand new, right? The very first interview we did was with one of the top economists in the nation. His name's Alan Nevin, and he became a good friend of mine. On my previous radio shows, he was a regular and all that kind of thing. And I wanted him to be the first guest that we interviewed, and he was excited to do it. And we interviewed him about a new book that he has coming out that's going to be available next month called The Next Half Century. And what it talks about is just in the last few years, over 1 billion people have gained internet access worldwide.
Right.
And in the next few years, over 1 billion people more will gain internet access.
Right.
And what he's saying from his book, what he's saying basically from the preview I have, is that as we go forward, the United States is positioned better than any other country out there to help these third world countries that have internet access now, to help bring them from the third world to the second world level. And we're literally, brighter days are ahead for us because we're going to be helping them do that. Right. And I started a coaching company, just so you know, and part of that is going to be to help that happen, right? Help facilitate that.
Okay.
So one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we did was I wanted to make sure that we got your story out to everybody that could hear it, simply because I absolutely know in my heart that there are people out there that are dealing with this kind of thing, and hearing your story is going to help them. It'll help them with confidence in terms of talking to their physician. It'll help them with confidence in terms of listening to their body, because that's a big part of your story, and asking questions, right? Asking more questions than is normal. Okay.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about what happened. You started, what were your symptoms? How did this all go about?
So back in 2017, right after we moved into this place, I started feeling some strange pains in my abdomen.
Right.
Couldn't really tell where it was. It was just in my abdomen. And it was strange in the fact that it only hurt when we went over railroad tracks. The vibration of the car would cause me pain, like gut-wrenching pain. And I couldn't understand. I was like, I just sat there going, what is wrong with me? What is going on? Yeah. And my husband just goes, get in the doctor's office. I go, it might be gastroenteritis. I'll just take some Tums and it'll go away. I think we were all raised to self-medicate.
Yeah.
If it was just a little pain, take a little Tylenol, the pain will go away. Well,
Right.
this went on for a couple weeks.
Right.
And then by December, I finally went to go see the doctor. And when I explained to him the location of the pain, which is right under my rib cage,
Right.
he figured it was my heart. So he
Oh.
ran an EKG. So he thought I had a silent stroke, and it had lingered because it's been weeks since the
Right.
initial onset.
Okay.
And so he took an EKG, and your heart is healthy. You got normal sinus rhythm. You've got, all these things. He goes, where is the pain exactly? And I said, just this part of my body. I don't know what it is, kind of thing.
Right.
And there were no symptoms up until the pain I felt going over the train tracks.
Right.
No other symptoms. I had no bleeding ears, no bleeding eyes, none of that. So he suggested, okay, well, let's go give you a CAT scan because you don't know what it is. It's not your heart. You got normal sinus rhythm. Let's give you a CAT scan.
Gotcha.
Gave me a CAT scan, called me within 20 minutes of getting the report. He goes, we're sending you up for an MRI. I go, why? he goes, we need to know more about what's going on with your body. And I said, can you explain? He goes, I'm going to let the surgeon explain it to you. I go, what surgeon? And he said, you're going to have to get this surgically removed, either laparoscopy or full-blown surgery where we cut you open and get it removed.
Wow.
And I said, well, what is it? And he said, the term is polycystic liver disease. And he goes, polycystic liver disease by itself is not a danger because everyone has cysts, literally little polyps on their liver.
Mm-hmm.
You just happen to have one that's so enormous that we need second advice, second
Opinion.
what do you call it?
Yeah.
Opinion.
Yeah.
So I went to go get my MRI. They measured the heck out of that thing.
Yeah.
And obviously the medical profession is in metrics, not imperial.
Right.
So when we converted it down, it was basically 9 inches by 17 inches round and 6 inches deep.
Wow.
It was, the cyst was calculated to have 1.91 liters of fluid. So it was, oh, go ahead.
So, well, no, I'm just curious. So the only symptom you had was the pain going over the
train tracks because it vibrated the car. Yes, that was it. That was the only thing. So
no, nothing else.
Nothing else other than I couldn't touch my toes, which I thought was normal because I was, a little bit chubbier. I couldn't touch my toes. But I thought that was a result of me having a lot of excess body weight in the center.
Yeah.
You can't touch your toes typically when you've got a lot of excess body weight.
Right. I've been there.
You know that feeling.
Yeah.
So
162 pounds ago. Yeah.
Yeah, you did great. I did talk to the surgeon. The surgeon took a look at the MRIs and he said, that is the largest cyst I've seen in quite a number of years.
Right.
He goes, largest. He goes, they're usually maybe 3-4 inches wide or this size. They don't have the volume, the liquid volume that you have.
Did they ever tell you where the pain was coming from?
It was basically the root of the cyst was yanking on my liver. So every time my whole entire internal organs vibrated, everything vibrated and was pulling on that root that was from the cyst.
Like a nerve.
So it's like a nerve. Like if there's nerves in that cyst that was yanking every time I moved.
Oh
and I just said, well, how does this happen? How, and he said, well, we're going to have to either surgically remove it, which I don't think we can do because it's the root itself is located on the backside of your liver. Or 2, we laparoscopically go in and drain it and try to remove as much fluid as we possibly can. And we let you drain it for another 3 weeks because there's going to be buildup that needs to vacate your body. Right. And that's the only way it's going to come out. Or 3, there's this new method that hasn't been tried yet, but they are experimenting with it called interventional radiology, which is basically they x-ray your body. They look at where all your organs are and decide where to attack and try to get this thing out. He goes, the problem with that is you would have to take betadine internally. You like put it into your liver for 3 weeks every single day.
Wow.
So it can sclerose the walls of the cyst.
So you
Because
inject
I'm not recommending, yeah, inject it into a valve that's attached to your liver
Oh,
for
gosh.
3 weeks. And I
Oh,
just sat
my
there going,
gosh.
I'm not ready to go there. I don't like betadine. I don't like the idea of injecting myself with betadine because, as far as
Right.
I'm concerned, it's an antiseptic for the outer part of your body,
Right.
not
Last I
the
checked.
inner.
Yeah, last I
Yeah,
checked. Yeah.
so I'm not willing to go there. So that's when the surgeon said, okay, well then let's laparoscopically at least alleviate the pressure, take the amniotic sac is what I called it. I said, my alien baby, get my alien baby out, because
Right.
it was basically an amniotic sac of
Oh, my
fluid.
goodness.
So that took care of it in 2017. So
Yeah.
2018, I was healed up. Everything was fine. They took an x-ray. The pathologist report finally came back. In the drum roll, please, because
Yeah.
this was a shocker. He did finalize that the entire volume count was 1.9185 liters. So if you
Oh,
can imagine a Coke bottle, a
2 of them.
2-liter Coke bottle was basically in my cavity, my
Yeah.
body cavity.
Oh, my
And we finally realized this is why I had bladder problems. Like I
Yeah.
could never hold my water. I always
Right.
had to find a bathroom every 20 to 30 minutes
Because of
because
the
it
pressure.
was just pushing
Yeah.
down on all my internal organs. And the pathologist study said I had it since in utero. So from the moment of conception, I had it. And it's like,
Wow.
what do you mean I had it? And the surgeon explained to me that when I was in utero, that one cyst that was on my liver in development had decided to be an anomaly, a genetic anomaly. He goes, it does not match anything else around your liver. This one cyst decided to grow abnormally.
Wow.
So when they did go in and drain it, the surgeon had taken the extra flap once they drained it out,
Right.
wrapped it around my liver, just like you would sanitize dirt. You put plastic over it so no weeds would grow, that sort of thing. So he did that in 2017, 2018. And he goes, okay, done. He's like, all right. And he goes, you may need to come back though. I've got a feeling this sucker is going to come back. I said, well, I still have like 30 years left on this earth. I'm hoping it's not.
Right. Yeah. Me too. Right. Yeah.
And come to July of 22 last year,
Right.
go over the train tracks again.
No.
Immense pain this time. Worse pain than from before, from what I can recall.
Oh, my gosh.
This time they sent me to the liver specialist in
This
La
is
Jolla.
4 years later.
4 years later, 5 years later.
Okay.
They sent me to the liver specialist in La Jolla. And I said, why do I need to see a liver specialist? They said, you might need a brand new liver.
Oh, no.
I said, why would I need a brand new liver? Because all reports, all the testing that I did suggested that I had a finely healthy, fine-tuned liver. I just had this one cyst.
Right.
I had no sclerosing or no cirrhosis. I had no fatty liver. I wasn't eating wrong. I was eating right. The skin around my liver was healthy, that sort of thing. And the liver specialist said, basically, we can't operate on your cyst. And I said, why is that? And, I thought the liver is regenerative. It grows back kind of thing.
That's what I've heard.
She said, the problem is the cyst itself, the root of the cyst is literally embedded on the backside of your rib cage. So in order to get there, we would have to remove everything to get out of its way so we can get to it, or we'd have to break your rib bones in the back to get to it. So it was pretty risky stuff.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And I just sat there going, nah, don't like that idea.
I don't like my options here, right?
I don't like. I was like, can we come up with other options? She goes, well, is it causing you pain right now? Today it's not causing me pain, but it comes and goes depending on the day of the week and which speed bumps I hit,
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
And
which railroad tracks you over.
Exactly. So that's when she sat down and said, well, you have these other two choices, which is we can do what we did in 2017,
right?
Drain it, and
Right.
try all over again, or we do the interventional radiology method, which was put betadine
Betadine.
into your liver.
Ugh.
And I literally had a hard time with that one because I just couldn't see putting betadine in a tube that goes into my liver and letting it sit for a couple hours.
Yeah, I did.
And
Yeah.
then,
That just
yeah.
wouldn't
So
work. Wouldn't work
I
for
just
me
said, no,
either.
let's just go back to square one. We'll take care of it that way. If I have to come back in 5 years, at least I'm only out for 3 weeks where I can't do anything,
Right.
and we'll go there.
Right.
So we agreed and we scheduled the procedure end of March this year. And they sent me on my merry way. And I had a drain attached to my liver, a catheter, if you will,
Yeah.
just to, suck out whatever was left. Because they were able to pull 1.89 liters of fluid the second time.
My
And
goodness
I said, well,
gracious.
maybe my body just said, hey, there's this huge space. It just wants to fill up again.
Yeah.
Like a water balloon. My surgeon basically said, just be careful. Just, you've got a pigtail catheter in your
Right.
liver to drain what's left.
Right.
So, okay, fine. About a week and a half into just dealing with the draining part, I accidentally dropped the bulb, which was on the end of the catheter. I was in the shower, it slipped out of my hands, and unbeknownst to me, it had dislodged the catheter.
Oh,
The catheter itself landed in the middle of my abdomen. So it was laying amongst my colon, my intestinal organs, all of that stuff. And it's all lubricated by just, saline,
right.
salt water. Your body is complete salt water on the inside. I didn't know it. So about the day before I was supposed to see my surgeon to remove the catheter, I had gotten so sick it was painful to move. I couldn't move. My husband threw me in the car and took me to emergency.
Yeah.
At that point, the surgeon took a look at a CAT scan that they had done while I was there and said, do you have a DNR? I said, what?
Yeah.
I said, can't you just give me some amoxicillin to clear up the bacteria? I mean, I'm
And let
fine
me
with just
go?
taking a pill and go.
Right.
And he said, the problem that we have is your white blood cell count is over 21,000. Standard blood count, white blood cell count is 10,000. He goes, that's normal. 21,000 is double. He goes, you're fighting an infection you don't know you have.
Right.
So we can't let you go until it comes down.
So they admitted you.
I said, what do you mean you can't let me go? He said, you're not going home. You're staying in the hospital. I didn't have a choice at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to stay. So the longer I stayed, the more I understood what was happening. So they took the catheter out and they said, do you see this fluid? It's not your normal fluid that was coming out of your liver. It was the fluid from your abdomen. It wasn't coming from your bladder or anywhere else. It's just the fluid that lubricates your entire internal organs.
Right.
That's what you were draining. You were becoming extremely dehydrated.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't drink enough water to keep me hydrated. And I didn't know that's the after effects of that.
Right.
And they gave me pumped me full of antibiotics.
Right.
Until they could get my white blood cell count down. So that took 3.5 days, I believe.
So you were in the hospital for 3.5 days?
3.5 days because they were not going to release me until I got my white blood cell count down. At this point, I didn't have an infection, but they decided that they would put another tube in me to drain what was left because they felt that there was still probably some kind of infectious things in there. Let's go ahead and drain it out and fix this.
Right.
And at that point, I just kind of said, I resolved myself to the fact that I'm going to let the professionals handle this because I have no idea what's going on with my internal organs. They put in a new catheter, and about 2 weeks later, they said, okay, there's nothing else coming out. We'll go ahead and pull this catheter out, but you'll come back here if it starts to give you trouble again. I said, oh, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'm eternal optimist that I am. I'm like, I'm not coming back.
Right.
I don't want to come back.
Right. I've been in this place too much. Yeah.
Exactly. So about 3 weeks out, I had an appointment with my regular primary care. And this is probably going to make a lot of people laugh, but I said to her, I've been sleeping with ice packs. And she goes, why are you sleeping with ice packs? I go, I think I'm going through the change. She goes, Aggie, that ship has sailed. you were not going through the change anymore.
Gosh.
I said, are you sure? Because I don't think I ever had it. And I'm like sleeping with ice packs because I'm so hot.
Yeah.
Kind of at night. I can't sleep.
Yeah.
And she goes, Aggie, I've been your doctor for over 15 years. You are not going through the change again. She goes, you already went through it.
Yeah.
She goes, I'm ordering more blood tests. And I was like, oh God, I hate when they order more blood tests.
Right.
I really do. And she ordered more blood tests. White blood cell count through the roof again, 18,000. And she called me the next morning and she said, check yourself into urgent care or emergency immediately.
Yeah.
I said, can it wait till next week? She said, no, you're going. You're going now. Long story short, I get in there and the second surgeon comes up and asks me if I have a DNR. And I said, for God's sake, just give me some antibiotics. I can go.
Right.
And he says, I know you're mentally clear. He goes, but your body's not. Wow. You cannot leave this hospital until we figure out what is causing this infection. You have an infection. Yeah. I said, what kind of infection? At this point, I'm thinking, I don't know what kind of infection I've got.
Right.
They put in another catheter and they drained it. The first night was almost a cup of infected mucus gook out of the liver. It had come back with a vengeance. And this time it was literally strep. It was strep.
Yeah.
It had gotten into my liver. Strep had gotten into my liver.
Oh my gosh. And
so we drained it for a day and a half and it was the color of Frappuccino. You know, the cold drinks. Yeah. That was the color of the muck that was coming out of my body. So they knew that I was severely infected. They sent me to infectious disease because they didn't know how I got it. They knew it had gotten in my liver. They knew that I was going to need much more than over-the-counter antibiotics that they could provide.
Yeah.
And I said, what does that mean? What does that mean that I can't take a pill like normal? And they said, we're going to put a PICC line. I said, a PICC line? You know, most cancer patients have PICC lines to get their chemotherapy to their heart. And she goes, that's exactly what we're going to do, except we're going to use that to distribute the antibiotics that you have to take for 6 weeks. I said,
oh my gosh.
And you're going to have to do it at home by yourself. I said, what?
I'm kidding.
And at this point, I am giggling because I'm not devastated by the fact, because I know that the human body is such an unpredictable thing that it does weird things. And you could take care.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out Calendly.com/Rio760.